Hey. Welcome back to the channel. Tommy Danielsen here with Jamie Larounis. This is, turns out to be a little bit of a popular gig that we're trying to do is to give some advice about the cities we visited quite frequently and know a little bit about of where to stay, how to get into the city, how to navigate the city, and also to find the best hotels and the best redemption. Travel hacking is kind of a gig here, and we would like to, kind of give our opinions. And Munich is what we're talking about today. It's pretty busy city compared to last week. We were talking about Vienna, but here we're talking about Munich, and it's usually a little bit more complicated. I wouldn't say that it's complicated. You've got a lot of options, but you've got things like Oktoberfest and the Christmas markets, and also a little bit popular. Have you ever been to Oktoberfest, by the way?
I have not. Need to add that to my list.
Yeah, you should do that. I was so we both have Harold has his office there in Munich, and he invited me this year. I had 3 invitations. I had Loyalty Partner Solutions, Harold, and Sixt. All of them invited me to come hang out. So maybe we'll look at that next year. But then you're going to have to, obviously what I saw, what the problem was finding a hotel and also flights in and out. I was in London and I was planning on going, but if the only flight I could take after a meeting was 700 euros on Lufthansa, and I didn't find any throwaway and anything like that. And then when I finally was able to find something that fit on points, then the hotels were, sold out. So it's a typical place where you have to plan. Also, the Christmas markets aren't they the biggest ones in the world?
Munich? I'm not sure. Good question.
I think the original ones come from there. If we were to kind of say so Munich is I would say 50 minutes to take the train from the airport. Should we say that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
it's pretty far outside of the city, and it's kind of, you have the old town, and then you've got the area around the central station. If we were to look at a map of where you want to stay, you kind of have 3-ish options if you want to be within walking distance. But they got a good subway system in addition to the S-Bahn. So they have the U-Bahn and the S-Bahn. And S-Bahn is more like a local train, which goes to the airport. So meaning that you will have like a local train that's pretty fast and goes through the city. So kind of here's the central station is right here. And then you have the old town over here. And then over on this side of the river is where you kind of have a lot of the bigger, there's some museums and some stuff in this area. And you have some of the bigger chains that we're going to look at in a second. So I say I always kind of end up in this area.
Yeah, that's where I predominantly stayed. I don't think Munich, honestly, it's kind of weird. And you were just saying this for how big Munich is. We just did an episode on Vienna. There was just a ton more hotels there, whereas we were trying to kind of grasp at straws to come up with good places in Munich. So it's just kind of interesting how different it is.
Right. So if we start with probably the best chain that has the better hotels and the better option is probably Marriott.
Yeah.
If we do Hyatt first, though, because that's an easy, that takes about 30 seconds.
Right.
The only Hyatt that's kind of there. So we saw one that's 50 miles outside of town, right? It's right here. It's the Schwabinger Tor, which is definitely not, close to anything. It is, as you can see, fairly far outside of the city. I wouldn't stay there. And also that it's a category 5, I feel like it's science fiction.
Yeah, I've never stayed there for that very reason. I just don't want to schlep inside and outside of the city. I mean, I've heard the hotel is decent. So, take that for what it's worth. And I'm sure you can clear a suite there, yada, yada. But I just don't want to have to trek in and out on the train, which is the reason I avoid the other side. I think, what did you say? That was Munich East, where some of the other stuff is over there. I just don't want to deal with that either.
Right. So here is the Hofbahnhof, and they got a Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Obviously, it's an expensive redemption. That would be 40,000 points per night, right? So it is it's a good location right here in the center of. So you have Marienplatz is here, and the Hauptbahnhof is here. But I mean, yeah, I think that the redemption rate, if you look to see how many points it actually is, isn't it like 40,000? Is that what the math comes out? I haven't found a single worth of that. 38,000 points,
Yeah, 38.
which I would say that's a no. That's a pass. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
for
going to
sure.
say that that's a pass. If I were to go, if we take a look at Marriott and we get the map going here, let's see, where is the map? What am I missing here? Oh, here we go, down at the bottom. It's different than it is in the app. If we were to look at where these, we've stayed at a lot of these guys, right? So you over here, you have the Marriott West, which kind of is that's close to where we saw that Hilton, right? Or I mean, the
Correct.
Holiday Inn.
Holiday
This
Inn,
is the Rumors. I mean, Rumors is it's walkable. It's about 15 minutes from the central station. Flat,
yeah.
easy
I wouldn't
walk.
do it. Just having walked it before, I walked it from the Le Meridian over there. I wouldn't do it if you had a ton of bags or something like that. But if you've just got one carry on, it's perfectly fine.
Right. Or you can just take the tram over here. So it is an interesting hotel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I remember the room that I stayed in originally there. I've stayed there a few times. Was like this bed was in the middle of the room. There was sort of this curtain surrounding it. It almost reminded me of
Yeah.
like a Kimpton-ish hotel. They were trying to, I don't know, be a little bit too modern. The second room I had there was likely the presidential suite. I mean, it was absolutely huge, which was
Oh
a
yeah,
huge
we have
dining
a
room,
review on
living
that on the
room.
site. We have it on
Yeah,
YouTube
there's
here. So yeah, look it
a
up.
bed sort of on this platform. It was a little bit weird with a hot tub outside.
Didn't have a pool
Um,
table.
it had a pool table, and then, as I said, that private hot tub. I mean, it was pretty cool. I think I used a 35,000 point cert there, so I'd say that upgrades probably are pretty easy to come by there.
Right. So you can see that the redemption rates are pretty decent here. It's over here, and you come out of the central station, you hop on the tram, and you take it like 5 stops over here.
Right.
Across the street, though, you have like a couple of options. You have the Aloft, which is a newer hotel. You stay there. I haven't stayed at that one.
Yeah, rooms were big. It's in a loft, right? You're not looking at a luxury property by any means, but it is literally on the other side of the train station. I mean, you cannot get any closer. In fact, I think the Le Meridian is just offset a little bit. So the loft is it's fine. It's good for a 35,000 point cert. As I said, the room I had there I think was fairly large, but again, it's sort of no frills ish. Although the lofts in Europe are a little bit, a little bit higher end, I think, than the ones in the U.S.
What's the breakfast situation there?
If I
You
remember,
remember?
there was some type of credit you could use in the lobby restaurant. I thought it was some type of credit. It wasn't like fully inclusive, but I don't remember.
Right. And then you got the courtyard down the street here, just a block away for 30,000. You've also stayed there, right?
I've stayed there. That one was fine. The full breakfast was offered in the restaurant for platinums and titaniums. It was a decent European breakfast. The room I had was small. I mean, that's European standards. And then of course you have the Le Meridian, block away. I'd say if I had to rank them, Le Meridian first, probably then the courtyard, and then the Aloft, if I kind of had to put them in order.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, looking at the rate, you also have the Le Meridian here, which I would say that's probably the best option of these three.
Yeah.
So they have, and they've got a lot of suites. I think that it's important to realize that you need to have a room that's facing the courtyard inwards, because it is pretty noisy out in the street there, and the insulation is not so well. So it's really important. If you request that, you get that. They're good with suites when it's off season for sure. Breakfast is a full breakfast, massive breakfast, and it goes for a long time. And they also have a nice pool in the basement, indoor pool in the basement, so that's cool. And the location is unbeatable. You literally step outside, and the escalator to go down is like maybe 10 yards away from the front door, and then you take the escalator down instead of walking across the street like you do with the loft. You just take the escalator down, and you take that little tunnel into the station.
Right.
So that obviously is convenient in the winter. There's also a new hotel. It's called the Königshof, and it's a new built. I've checked it out. It looks pretty swanky, and it gets good reviews. It is so if you were to say that the center of town is kind of here, so it's closer to that, like literally across the street.
So that looks to
get
be,
to the,
you know, that point in the sidewalk where you have to go down and it sort of goes into that underground mall and then you come back up. Is it right in that area? You know
it
what I'm
is.
talking about?
So here's Marienplatz is over here, right? This is kind of where the markets are. So it's still not like in the whole center of town, right? If we were to see that, what you have. So here is where you have, here's the station. So up here is where you have, by the Botanical Garden is where you have the Roccoforte Hotel, the hotel. Oh my goodness, what is it called? Hotel David, is that what it's called? I gotta look it up so I don't give you the wrong information. Roccoforte Munich. The Charles is what it's called. And that's a nice hotel, and it's in the center of town, very quiet around that park. But I would say that this will be interesting to check out as a miles and points option. 88,000 off season, so 85K short plus 3,000 points, which I think it's worth it for 410 euros, maybe not. All right, let's move over to Hilton, and Hilton is kind of a little bit of a they've got now the SLH that Hyatt used to have. If you look at the center of town and kind of recognize that from the previous map, you'll see that there is a couple of hotels here, Munich West. So the rumor is here. So you kind of take that tram a couple of more stops over there.
Yeah, in my opinion,
and
that's too
you could
far.
also,
If you're trying to visit markets, I think that's way too out of the way. That's my opinion.
yeah, I think so too. But I mean, if the other Hiltons that are in town is that the House of Hutter, I couldn't find. I looked like 10 different dates. I couldn't find anything at a regular rate. So this is a suite. Absolutely brilliant location. It's kind of the same as the one. So the luxury collection Marriott is here, so it's a couple of blocks from there, and Marienplatz is here, right? So it's in a good location. The regular Hilton though is over here on the side. And it's also next to the S-Bahn station, so it's 2 stops away from Marienplatz. It's not that inconvenient. It is the same distance that I would say a little bit. Yeah, it's only 1 stop away from the Hauptbahnhof. So versus stops away here, so it's a little bit further away, but I wouldn't call that inconvenient. And the Hilton here is, very little money, looks a little bit on the older side. I haven't stayed. I couldn't be giving a recommendation, but I would say that, and there are Hiltons also, as you can see, outside of the city. These are more like the Hampton Inns and all that stuff. And it's far away from things.
Too far.
And yeah, I wouldn't stay at any of those for sure. Lastly, it's IHG, which kind of doesn't have any. They have something called the Ruby's Lily Hotel. It looks like a new hotel that they partner with. I see them all the way at the bottom, and then you're sent away to a different third party here to book them, right? And it says that the benefits are coming soon, but not yet available. So you can't book those on points anyways. The Holiday Inn is kind of next to the Hilton, and it is also one. It'll be a couple of stops away on the S-Bahn, away from Marienplatz or the Old Town. But this is actually walkable. It's not that far. It is, but in the winter when you go there for Christmas markets, it is, so it can be a little bit sporty for sure. So that's pretty much what we're looking at in Munich. The airport hotel, I think, is a Kempinski, the one that's connected to the terminal. So obviously, the other ones, I think you need to have take public transportation to kind of get there. So there's really no point. But as we talked about, it is pretty far away from the city. So I would say 50 minutes from the hop on hop. But there are a lot of trains that go up there. The frequency is good and it's inexpensive. I think it's €8 to go all the way to the airport. And that's it. So your go-to.
Out of all of that, honestly, that Le Meridian, we've stayed there a bunch of times. I think it's great by the train station, centrally located. 10-minute walk over to the main square there and all the restaurants. I think it's a decent value.
Good breakfast also, and pretty inexpensive, I would say, to stay at. And I completely agree on that. Around the Christmas markets in the lobby, they've got like things that they're handing out and stuff, and good service, great with upgrades, and good quality. And they've also redone. I would say they redid like 80% of the rooms. They have that wooden wall behind the bed that's still there, but everything else they redid. So that's pretty good. So that's how Munich looks. Thanks for dialing in and for taking a peek. And like I would say also, Le Meridian is my choice for sure. Thanks for dialing in. Giddy up.